Welcome back, everyone, to Red Spotlight. I'm Alexis, joined by Alexis Moreno and David Francisco for our finale reaction commentary to Andor. Finally, and unfortunately, at the same time, we're here to watch and live react to the first time ever, honestly, the final 3 episodes of what has truly been not just one of the best Star Wars things ever, but one of the best, honestly, kind of just period television shows. Honestly. It is, I mean, it was only just 3 weeks ago, and yet it feels like 3 months ago with how much was packed into these episodes, I feel like it's been a long 4 weeks, I guess you could say, but it's kind of intense. It's been a stellar season. We've all been looking forward to it. I don't think any of us have the faintest idea of what it is we're going to experience just now. Perhaps we'll see a bunch of calamity and chaos and probably a whole bunch of interesting situations that are about to happen here. So today we're going to react to episodes 10, 11, and 12. Before we start with this week, I want to go ahead and go to my friends here and ask if there's any follow-up comments from you guys about like how last week's episodes were, and then also what you think or what you expect tonight is going to go. If anyone has to have any last-minute predictions, the time is now.
I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen. But that's fine. I've been so sad that it went by so fast. And it's so good, and I'm really sad that it's ending. But like I am really sad that it's ending. But I'm also not, because it feels like a well-rounded show. And I'm honestly,
when was the last time you got one of those? At that point, it's a
and
well-rounded
it's only 2 seasons. And I'm kind of glad that it didn't do the 5-season thing. Because imagine, it would have been, we would have been, what, 40?
It wouldn't have been. Let's just begin here. It wouldn't have been.
That's true.
Peter was correct when he said on the show last week, not on our reactions, but on the main Red Spotlight podcast, it just wouldn't have been. In the streaming era, it would not have lasted past season 2. That's just the reality of things. So I feel like we should be looking at it the other way, considering that they only had 2 seasons. I mean, they packed the full story in. I mean, honestly, if we're thinking about it, they really did make 2 seasons feel like 5.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, if that's a weird way of putting it.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like the last set of episodes, I feel like have sat with so many people. I've watched so many reactions. I've watched so many people like do deep dives of everything that was going on. And it's really cool to see a lot of people have the same reactions to like what we reacted to, or come to the same conclusions that we did when we watched it. And it feels, I don't know how.
Just the mic.
Leave me alone.
I'm sorry.
I loved it. I keep rewatching it. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, because it's so upsetting seeing everything. And it feels like I kind of went from watching that to watching real life to watching that, which is not a good combination, because then you can't tell the difference. So, but still, it was amazing, and I feel like my heart isn't ready for what's gonna happen.
David.
I mean, yeah, like what she said, it's just been fantastic show. I really hope it like kind of like lives on for sure within the Star Wars fan base. Seems like 50-50 from what I'm seeing, that like people either care about it or not, but um I I know for sure this is gonna be remembered, at least for me. And for it ending, I don't know. I really am hoping that like I really see Rogue One at a different light at the end of this, and because it would be cool to like watch this show and then go to Rogue One and then go to A New Hope. Like you kind of have like a perfect set of movies right there.
Yeah, it's always difficult to really gauge to see what Star Wars fans are going to think. I just feel like we have well gone past the point of no return, and the fandom itself has really just splintered off into these different cells. And that's just kind of what it is at this point. On the one hand, you have people who, like Star Wars Explained, which, by the way, has always been the superior channel in comparison to those Star Wars YouTube channels that, you know, feel the need to explain, you know, canon. It's like that channel specifically with those two individuals, not only like do they have such a, you know, joy and they're honest and positive about their feelings, and they've also they can also back it up with like the fact that they know what story arcs and themes are. That helps because the other side does not know. There are some Star Wars splinter cells that are kind of like captured by right-wing terrorist groups, and one of them you know, just continues to just decay and decay. So like with Star Wars Explained, like you just flat out so basically calling out all the Star Wars fans out there, if you can't see how Star Wars has always been political, especially with now with Andor is happening, then you're just lying to yourself. And he basically he put out the challenge out there that, you know, the themes and ideals of Star Wars have never changed. The fans have changed. And that's just kind of where it is. So I want to applaud him for doing that specifically. Because then you have him on that side. And then you have the brain rot of Star Wars theory, which weeks ago was saying that the Empire or Vader wouldn't stand for rape. And then I hope that maybe I didn't. I fell for an AI scam, but was it? I think no, it wasn't. It was a real video. He put a video instead of talking about Andor. He's going to double down on his controversy and said that Anakin Skywalker did nothing wrong.
Okay.
This is what I mean, right? This is what I mean about like there's just no like. It is a useless thought to have about, you know, how is something going to be received by Star Wars fans when we're not living in the same reality. We're just not. Which is, again, emblematic of real life. It's just,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to avoid and to annoy. I mean, it's annoying how we can't avoid that, but that's just what it is, you know? So just to, you know, to put that out there. I feel like, you know, and then there's a whole group of other Star Wars fans who are like, you know what, they're fine and they're enthusiastic and they're entitled, you know, to their opinion and everything. But then there's also just different situations there, which I'm not going to get into now because I feel like, you know, it is what it is. But the last crop of episodes we had, like with all of them, really, have been phenomenal and have clearly just touched something that speaks to the moment that we're living in right now. So, we'll see again what this does for Rogue One. But I do want to remind us and remind ourselves here, because I feel like from the perspective of Star Wars fans, when you consume as much of the Star Wars media that's out there, I feel like the all this extra stuff is only going to enhance everything. And I get that, and I feel that, and I love it. That's cool. But I feel like it gives too many Star Wars fans an excuse to retroactively, repaint revisionist history as if flaws of certain things weren't there. This past weekend, God forbid I didn't watch the actual movie. I just watched a reaction to it, Attack of the Clones. And too many people, I know, right? That's a joke in and of itself. But too many people forget what an aggressively unlikable character Anakin Skywalker is in that movie. Uncomfortable even, just the looks, the line deliveries themselves will just knock you out. But then also to see Natalie Portman's reactions, like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? Like, literally happening all throughout the movie. Like, and I was telling Peter, it's like, it's really a race to the bottom of who can destroy this character faster. Hayden's performance or George's writing. It is truly a masterclass of a disastrous performance. And that alone sinks the film. And we all know that movie has plenty of other problems in addition to that. So I feel like people love Anakin, they love the Clone Wars Anakin, as we do. But I feel like those prequel films, especially 3, only work if you can, like, make yourself look past those flaws and just imagine that's the Matt Lanter Anakin and not the Hayden Anakin. And too many people out there have completely just forgotten that they did that. And so now they're just conflating it as the same thing. As if Hayden's performance was good the entire time. It was not. And as we were saying, Revenge of the Sith is a great finale, but all the setup, you have to watch a 7-season show just to get where things even stood in the first place. Otherwise, that fall to the dark side was like, are you kidding me here? So, while it is going to be fascinating to go and watch Rogue One again, I'm going to say it again, because some people don't seem to get the message. It is a deeply flawed movie. It was first a Gareth Edwards film, and then they didn't like what he did, and they brought in Tony Gilroy to rewrite and reshoot the film. To which now, almost 10 years later, we know it more as a Tony Gilroy movie, but it also is half a Gareth Edwards film, because I feel like if Tony Gilroy was given the opportunity to do it from scratch, it would have been maybe even way different, but it also would have been way better. That's just kind of, it was a film in crisis. And how it was that they were able to, stitch it together, it ended up being as successful as it is a miracle in and of itself. But that does not change the fact that it is largely a film with, on the surface, an interesting ensemble, but kind of a fail when you look at it from that perspective that, most of those characters aren't really characters. And do you hear anyone really talk about them 10 years later, aside from the obvious one, which has his own show? So, I mean, it's Rogue One just happened to come out, and people were like, it was the best thing ever made. It was the best Star Wars since the original trilogy.
It was alright. I mean, I can't even say that because I've watched it once.
It had a great ending. And people are swayed by great endings. That's what it is.
And the actors did really well.
Yes.
I mean,
and the cinematography and the visual effects were incredible. It was an amazing looking movie. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say it's crap or terrible.
Yeah, I think that's what we had said. It looked amazing, but was it? I don't know.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Basically. So, just I want to bring that up because too many Star Wars fans, for my taste especially, they're just like trying to paint everything with a revisionist brush, and I do not like that. I do not like that because all it ever does is allow many of them to feel blameless. Because how many times have they ostracized certain actors? Have they maligned certain characters only for like 10 years later to say, oh, you know what? It turns out we loved it the whole time.
Okay.
Fucking liars.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. So that's just the one thing I want to say about it. Do you want to stall more, or should we just get to it? Because we got a couple of, I know we have a lot of them to get to. So one of the lingering storylines that we have is we have to deal with what did Luthen do after they basically got Mon Mothma out of trouble? Because we have to remember here that the ISB agent that was killed in the Senate, they singled out as Young's agent. Young is Lonnie, who works for Luthen. So I think one of the immediate things that we're going to see right now is, as we saw at the end of last episode, Colonel Yularen was trying to reach the ISB, probably to fire somebody, because how the hell do they let this happen, especially when there's an agent in-house, especially when it's their own chamber. It's really interesting to see what's going to happen here, because there's going to be hell to pay.
Yeah. Honestly, so
let's
far
see
with
what heads roll here.
this recap,
Interesting,
I feel like
of course, how this whole last episode we didn't see. What, David? I'm sorry.
From this recap, it seems like it's going to be all ISB stuff. Like, is there going to be a chance that Andor's not even going to be in this episode?
Oh, sure. Okay.
Is it gonna be a full Luthen episode?
Dude, seriously, it's just ISB and Luthen.
Mm-hmm.
Miro. Why? She's a hunter, not a spin doctor. Maybe she's oversight. Or what? Smear campaign is an opening.
It might be a
This
bottle
guy's coming
episode.
out in like every clip.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All this lies we've laid, all this information, the
Ooh.
radios, the frequencies,
I'm
the
not
messages
ready.
flying around. We're drowning.
Oh my god.
What's it called? Make it stop? Oh no.
Yes.
Okay.
It's really nice when the previous Leons really hype you up, because you just
Yeah.
know what it's
I don't think
going
I've
with.
ever had that before.
No, yeah, for sure. Especially when you watch the other ones, it's like, oh, it's like he's like
You skip.
previously on, and you're kind of like, yeah, I really don't care about
Did
this
you-
information. Whereas this one, it's kind of like, oh yeah, there's actually a lot of information here that I probably forgot, and it's good to know.
Oh.
Right? Oh my god. God. This show deserves an award for its episodic intros. Like,
Mhm.
come on.
I listened to I can't remember the name of it, but it was the music playing on Saul's speech when
Mm.
Oh.
In the-
Wait, 1 year later?
later.
ooh,
Wait, really?
yeah, it's
Yeah. Every
Oh, I
3
forgot.
episodes.
I thought we were gonna go just jump immediately after
I don't know
the speech and
No.
everything. Oh shit!
because this is supposed to be like 1 year before Rogue One,
Mhm.
I think.
No. Oh.
No, because Rogue One happens right at New Hope, technically. And this
Well, I'm
Yeah.
happens
confused now.
Let It Run Wild. That's the name of the song I was talking about. Saul's like theme, I guess, when he's like, let it run wild.
Yeah. Oh shit!
That was scary. Oh, I don't want anything to happen to this guy.
I feel like at this point, why stick around? Just you should have left.
He tried.
No,
The
not
first
him. but,
season.
like all of them. All of them.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I guess.
Like after Mon left, I mean, what was the point in sticking around?
I think we used up all the perfect.
No. Oh.
Move.
No! Why aren't you guys saying anything?
I really wonder where this is gonna go.
It had to be done.
You went into her files?
I had a 2-hour window.
And you still don't know if she's coming after me or not.
I didn't have time. Because I found something more critical.
By the way, what an amazing wig he has on. It's just like it's like really good.
They're not looking for partisans on Jeddah. They need Kyber crystals, the crackdowns, the public order, the labor camps, Scarif.
Fronting for what?
A weapon. Orson Krennic's been building a secret weapon for over a decade. Colonel Yularen wasn't even told until a month ago.
What kind of weapon?
Where will you take us?
Oh
So now
my
it's like,
God!
so now this is just a race for Luthen to get this information out there. Because how do we start with Rogue One though? Like, how do they know to?
We'll find out. Oh. No. No.
Biggs, come here, boy.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
What?
Superweapon based in Scarif, fuel from Colonel, Kyber from Jeddah, ISB Krennic, Galen Urso.
And you know where to go.
No, I'm doing the comms.
No, you're not.
I love that. You always got the sense that she, like, always had, like, a barrier between them. And then this is, like, kind of the first time you feel like, oh, no, she, like... I mean, I guess it makes sense because they were partners, right?
I
Right.
never thought there was like a wall between them. I think,
Like, she was just very, like, serious towards him, like,
well,
you
yeah,
know?
because
Well, she was only
Luthen-
keeping her head to herself, you know.
Because Luthen, though, he's the one that's like, you know, paying a front with everyone else, but it's always with her that
Shit.
he's like freaking out on. You know, when he goes like, it was all too much and everything. Like, he
Yeah.
would never be like that in front of anyone else. So
Yeah.
it's like they're hot on each other, but it's like they need to do that to keep each other in line.
Yeah. No. Oh, shit.
You're open.
Please join us.
Real.
Ah, what a wise question.
Oh, is that the mask? Those like
Huh?
giant knights. It's so hard to talk over this, but there was a video I saw that people like to think that even though the whole art thing is like a front to, you know, get information and all that, they like to think that Luthen likes to use this as inspiration to like
Preserve it, yeah.
preserve it and all that. I thought that was really interesting.
I have a few items on consignment.
In that case, I may have something for you.
Just like the most casual I've seen her.
Yeah, it's like she's acting too. Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
All that time, hiding in the shelter of imperial peace and quiet.
And I've known you all along. Hardly seems fair.
You disgust me.
Do you want to know why?
Everything you stand for.
Freedom scares you.
Freedom.
And you're too late. The rebellion isn't here anymore. It's flown away. It's everywhere now. There's a whole galaxy out there waiting to disgust you.
Damn. Oh. Oh, those are cool.
I don't have any words. I'm sorry.
Dude, that was so good. Oh my god. Are you kidding
Okay,
me?
what was that cube thing?
What cube thing? Wasn't that the thing that Andor took? I can't remember how exactly the plot went, but basically that was kind of like the thing that brought Luthen and Andor together, and it started this whole thing.
Okay.
Huh. Of all the things to keep in there, isn't that one of those things from the Mortis God mural? Like the three hands?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Wow, an actual like investigation.
Do they really have no evidence? Oh, but they have the ship.
They took everything.
Is there nothing?
Just weapons?
I mean, I think he destroyed like the main thing right there. Because
Yeah,
the thing
I mean, I wouldn't think that they would like keep stuff there.
That's their main thing. Because all they do is just get information. They don't. If there's something that needs to be stolen, they're not the ones
That
keeping
barely
that.
looks salvageable.
Yeah.
What was the plan exactly? What was her job to do?
I think she was supposed to just get their getaway ready.
What's happening? Is this a flashback?
Oh yeah. Did he age him?
This is, I don't know if anyone's thinking this, but it can't be an accident. It's just very deliberate how she's hiding in plain sight, behind walls, in a location where
The type of language he uses.
Diary of Anne Frank. Just putting it out in case that wasn't, if that was too subtle.
I have no idea what you guys were talking about, so I'm sorry.
How Jewish people had to hide in houses in their basements, or
No, yeah,
That's
I get
what
it
I
now.
was
Once
talking
you
about.
said the name, I got it.
oh, okay.
The ridge. It's resetting. What can I do?
I don't know if you guys noticed her headscarf.
That's the ISB building
I'm assuming
or a medical
maybe.
center.
a hospital. She needs to get out though. Like, come on.
I know. I wonder if he told her
What?
about the Death Star?
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know if they actually got the name Death Star, but he told her, like, she was piecing it together, like, oh, this place Kyber crystal, this place this thing.
Patience. Then I'm sure you'll do a better job moving them than we will.
Oh.
Jesus Christ.
Her little look. Is she gonna try to blow it up so he doesn't?
That's what I'm thinking too.
we
I feel
don't.
like she's-
Honestly, it's.
Ooh.
I really do feel like she's there to finish the job.
Yeah.
Make sure he's not taken alive.
That sucks if that has to happen. It's so cool how they keep coming up with like new gadgets and stuff.
Mhm.
Like, that's insane. I love that.
Yeah, that's really cool. And just coming up with these. Oh, hey, look at that reference.
The back to tank.
Yeah. Coming up with these sets. I think we've praised it like every single episode, but the sets are so good, and the fact that they didn't have to go this hard with it, especially this scene. It could have just been straight to the scrubs to getting into this hallway, and that's it. But the fact that they even took the time, it's awesome.
What does that mean?
You're under arrest, Dedra.
That's ridiculous. I have access. I found him.
I came with an ISB marshal.
I have to talk to Partagas.
He sent me.
Under arrest? Because she did
She
what?
overstepped.
She
Anything to do with access or with what was Andor's planet's name? His home?
I don't remember.
Anything to do with that, like, she could not be a part of it. She couldn't investigate it or anything like that. So she way overstepped.
After Ferrix, right?
Yeah, after Ferrix.
Okay.
After that, she failed. Like, yeah, she can't touch it.
I always. Well, that's true, but I wonder how much of it has to do with the fact that
She did it like she
at
went
this-
away from protocol,
Mhm.
kind of.
that too, but where's the evidence? Did she
Well-
acquire the evidence? Because what happened is Luthen
No.
destroyed the communicator and he stabbed himself. So at this point, what do they have? A
Nothing.
well-known philanthropist in critical condition. with no proof.
Yeah.
I don't think they care. I think
That's
it's
why I'm
more.
thinking.
I more think it's because she did it on her own when they had a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Because their whole thing is
Yes.
like control, and
And
she's steering away from that.
yeah, and she has no proof that is Axis. And so, if she had proof for sure, if like this was like 100% certain that it's him, then I think their boss would have been like, "Hey, good job, actually," and then continue that. But because it isn't, you overstepped, and now you're looking foolish.
We both know what it's worth.
Well, right now it's worth 7.
You had a question earlier, David. I do believe that is de-aging.
Yeah.
It's difficult because Stellan is he's in his 70s, but he's looked incredible for like a long time. I mean, for like seriously, he doesn't need that much.
Got to 9.
So
20. 10 if you smile. 20. Does she know how this works?
We already have an offer for 15.
Oh, who done that?
Zuli, back by the gate.
That little girl sounds exactly like her. What the heck?
Let's see.
Oh my gosh, is that E.T.?
Ooh. I
just-
don't like that.
Come on.
No. Dude, I love that. Anything floating?
Oh. You meant the sliding door. I'm like,
No!
That means we lose. And lose and lose and lose. Until we're ready. All you know now is how much you hate. You bank that, you hide that. You keep it alive until you know what to do with it. And when I tell you to move, you move. Move!
Oh, I love her.
she's just chilling.
I gotta say, feels like very comfortable.
Let's go.
So good.
Hunter. You'll be leaving now.
I have to say, even though what they did was bad, that's the difference between him and Saul.
mm-hmm.
He wasn't, like, coddling her.
Oh. Dang, I love that. That it took so long to fade away. That's awesome. Oh boy.
I'd like to get some more thoughts from you, Alexis. You were saying about the difference between Luthen and I think you meant Saw Gerrera, who you were talking about. I think you were trying to put him.
Yes.
You said Saul, and I'm like, wait, who's that? So, in terms of like how they're bringing people into the fold, and then also because I feel like you can almost even maybe this is where your head was at, but you can even make kind of a comparison between how Luthen treated Clea versus how Saw treated Jin.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Or can you explain more about what you were thinking
To be fair,
when that happened?
don't
'Cause
remember.
basically-
Well, okay, yeah, she doesn't remember. So Saw basically, I mean, he just treated her like a tool. If he needed to get something,
Okay.
and there was like a little path only,
Yeah, then,
she had to
I
be
mean,
the
I
one
guess.
to do it and all that. But with Luthen and Clea, it was very much like we're in this together. Like you don't leave my side. At least that's what it seems.
I think no. I mean, the whole thing of he straight up was like, this is your choice. If you don't want this, that's okay.
You don't have to look at me when you're talking to the
I'm
mic.
God.
Interesting. It's interesting because I feel like it's very important context, right? Because I feel like especially because I feel like if you've seen this season, which we've been watching this season, right? A lot of characters, especially by the middle of the season, were very put off by what they perceived to be an unreasonable wall that Luthen was, in terms of him demanding they all give 100% of themselves to him, but how he oftentimes was not willing to reciprocate, I guess, the trust that they put in him. And I feel like a lot of the people that worked for him, like Val, and maybe even Cinta toward the end, and of course especially Andor, were like, you're not really giving me much agency here. Like, I'm with you ideologically, but I don't like the way that you run things, because I feel like you're not really, first of all, seeing us as individuals, but not really giving us much choice in the matter.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like with this episode, where we get a chance to see his relationship with Clea, which honestly, up until this point, I can't believe I didn't even think to myself what their history was. But it was something that the show never really addressed until just now. But is really, I just feel it kind of recontextualizes certain things about who Luthen is and who he has been. I feel like up until this point, you might very well think that Luthen basically just kind of groomed Clea to be what she is and nothing more. But if that were the case, that would make him exactly like Saw Gerrera. And as we've seen in the past, and in their past interactions, we know very well, they're not the same. Not really. And I really did appreciate here him giving her the agency to be what she wanted to be and to do what she wanted to do. Whereas, and it's interesting because I feel like in this situation, again, I feel like all dramas, especially with Star Wars, is just an examination of these relationships of characters. We have a different kind of like guardian-daughter relationship in the show, in the form of Mon Mothma and her daughter, as we saw earlier on in this season. And I feel ultimately like, you know, Alexis, I think you came at it from a really interesting perspective, in that the daughter may perceive Mon's repeated attempts to give her a choice as just a further insult, in that she feels that the whole thing has just been decided for her. And that very well could be how she feels. But to be fair, though, Mon repeatedly attempted to give her daughter the options, and the daughter repeatedly spat in her face. For what reason you want to cling to, whatever it is, fine, but she did so regardless. And what's interesting is it was really hard for Mon to combat the Imperial propaganda, and of course, the era in which her daughter grew up in. And I feel like, you know, something that did not go, and I know I'm kind of going on a different tangent here, but just with Mon and her daughter, but it's really interesting because I've seen some people discuss this, but we are the last of the millennials, and I feel like several years ago, you might have even considered that something of an insult. But I feel like, and this is the unfortunate aspect of it, it may even be considered a compliment these days that we're not labeled in with Gen Z because of the younger Gen Z in this very strange and rather tragic turn of events where there is not completely, but a significant coalition that is shifting toward the right and embracing conservative values, which includes organized religion. And again, there are many ways, maybe all the ways, that this show directly speaks to the era that we're living in, whether it be on a macro or or in a very minor level. But I think that's one of the connections that people made in Mon Mothma's daughter as someone who came of age in a era that was just basically feeding bullshit left and right. And as we have seen these last 10 years, 10 to 15 years, unfortunately, and this is also kind of a meta commentary on, I guess, the Star Wars fandom itself, there have been too many young people who, well, first of all, they're young and they were born into an era in which there was the internet and social media. And one of the unintended consequences was just how too many people would be captured by bad faith artists, or I should say bad faith actors, and swayed by an ideology that continues to inflict harm on many, many people. But it's interesting to have that Mon and daughter relationship, and then also to be shown what's happening here, or what happened with Leia, not Leia, like put those names together, Luthen and Clea. Clea and Luthen. And I really did appreciate seeing that he went out of his way to be straightforward with her. But then we also got a chance to see just the very minimum that we needed in terms of like who Luthen, how his origin came to be. And there really wasn't like any kind of words that needed to be expressed. I feel like make it stop, and then just the look on his face was just enough to convey everything that we needed to know about that moment and who Luthen, how he changed, and who he ended up being. And, you know, in my mind, I didn't even think that she was going to go and to kill him. I thought she was going to go and save him until you pointed it out. And I'm like, oh, that's right. This is a different kind of show that we're watching here. And of course, it was tragic to see. But ultimately, that's kind of what the contingent plan, I assume, was in a situation that it were to happen. But then also to keep this in mind as well. It's like, she's also returning the gesture that he gave to her a long time ago and giving him agency. It was his wishes, the way that he went out. And I think to try and, first of all, I don't think it was even going to be possible to get him out of there. That's just not the way things would be.
I mean,
but it was just nice.
I think the fact that he died with like a smile.
He did. There are way too many people to praise just with the actors alone when it comes to this show. But it really has been a very, very long time where just about every little thing involved is just operating at a level in which it is leaving an impact. And of course, to say nothing of the fact that in what may be considered one of the smaller quote-unquote episodes of this show, how many locations, how many sets, how many effects. I love how you pointed out in the reaction how the show never wastes an opportunity to show us new gadgets and gizmos here in a galaxy far, far away, right? Like what I think is, yet again, one of the things that people forget, was a failure of the prequels was how clean everything looked and how technologically advanced it was in comparison to the original films. Retroactively in canon, of course, the Empire suppressed the advancement of technology and kept it all to themselves. Things became much more analog, yeah, but it also looks better. That's the main thing. From a filmmaking standpoint and a storytelling standpoint, it is far superior. Kind of reminds me, for those of you who, if you saw Alien Romulus in theaters or just saw the movie at all last year, it was a return to form, not in every way, but one of the things that maybe my favorite aspect of Alien Romulus was the fact of how analog things were. That you had actual sets, but you actually had it's just so cool to see stories in futuristic spaces where they're having to push a bunch of buttons. That never really gets old. And I think it enhances it a lot more than just an actor staring at a hologram that isn't actually there. So that's one more feather to add to the show's cap for sure. One of the things that we were kind of thinking to ourselves a lot is like, okay, what it would actually look like when, he was discovered. And I'm happy that I think we all knew Luthen was going to go down one way or the other. He wasn't going to, I think, outlive the show, but I'm happy that he got the last laugh. He literally got the last laugh. And I think him offing himself off may have sealed Dedra Meero's fate, because she is screwed. She is unbelievably screwed because, again, like you bring up a good point. Why would they care so much so about proof when that hasn't been a factor in the past? I think the burden of proof may matter more in this case, not only because of how big of a target Axis is, but because of how far she went to abuse her powers and how she's pissed off many of the people that she works with. And in this situation, where she literally went behind everybody's backs, didn't have the burden of proof, and all the evidence she had was destroyed at the scene of the crime. I mean, it's like, it kind of reminds me of one of those unfortunate situations, although in this case, it ends up being hilarious because, the bad guy ended up being the one that got, the tables turned on her. But it kind of reminds me of months ago when Peter, David, and I did a show, and we were kind of like worried that this is before the Superman trailer came out and they had all these views. We were kind of concerned how like there were so many DC films that just flopped, and we were concerned that, oh no, Superman's not going to have that great of a box office because of all these damn duds that came in the way. And I think Peter had this like beautiful, I guess, analogy of like there's a dead body on the floor and James Gunn was the one holding the gun, but he didn't shoot it, which always made me laugh. But that would be kind of the situation where Dedra is in right now, because like she was all ready to come in here and have her moment of triumph and glory, and it literally all blew up in her face. And the one thing that she was holding on to was you saw how scared for her life she was when Luthen basically knifed himself, and how desperate she was to keep him alive. As desperate as, for those of you who recently watched Thunderbolts, as Valentina was desperate for, well, she was desperate all throughout the movie for various different reasons, but just to keep herself in the game and not be eliminated. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see how this wraps up. This particular situation with Dedra. I mean, what happens?
I have I guess some questions when it comes to her character in this episode. I assume what happened was she went back from Gorman and nothing happened. Everything that she was promised, like, it didn't happen. So
yeah, what
this
happened
is like,
to that promotion?
I think this was like
That's
her
right.
being like, this is what's gonna get me on top, and I think that's why she just had a whole breakdown.
Wait, was she gonna get a promotion?
Yes.
Or was it just
No.
They
No.
they told
I'm
that
so
one guy
sorry,
told her,
but-
you're gonna be at the table.
Partagas told her to imagine herself of how far she would ascend because of the role that she did.
That's
She basically
what,
got nothing.
That's what she used to kind of try to keep Cyril,
Okay.
Her episode is gonna be next, and that's gonna be very interesting.
Any other thoughts?
I love the conversation between Deidre and Luthen. They were just saying what they always wanted to say to each other, like kind of just ignoring what the other was saying. It was just like, I'm finally gonna say this in front of your face and all that. But Luthen was winning that conversation though. I don't know if that's just me being on his side, but like a part of me was kind of like, he's got her. He's messing with her mind.
No, it was a complete failure. She was too late.
Yeah.
She was way too late in the game. I mean, it was like the rebellion had already outgrown him. Like he was away. Do we have any mixed feelings about the way that Lonnie went out?
Yes.
I mean,
I don't fully understand because I don't think he ever let him down. I mean, there was obviously moments of doubt from Lonnie, but he stuck it out,
Yeah, he really did.
Yeah,
he really did.
But I think he was scared of him getting captured and what that would come about. Like, he was not gonna be willing to do what Luthen did. If
For
they
sure.
caught him, he would have broke instantly, So, I understand. I don't agree, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess we should go ahead and start with the next one.
Maybe it's not a Deidre episode.
I think it's just going to be ISB or the Empire on one story, and then it's going to be the Rebels, Andor on the other, and then the third one's going to be the stories converging.
Nero called a raid this morning and it's gone badly. She believes she's found access. Or she did. He's apparently seriously wounded.
So you see, Partagas is not even sure if she has access to somebody that she just a random person.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big part of the situation here. It's and I think it matters more that she's just doing what she wants.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Because usually the burden of proof, it's the Empire. But collateral damage, they just killed a whole race just to get some, silk? Minerals out of the plant? I don't even know. The show is too good to end.
It either works or...
Oh yeah, this happened too. I forgot about this completely. K2SO.
Turn it on. I'm not sure that's safe.
Oh my god, we're still in the recap.
I know, it's still going.
With the music fading away and then the next shot, I'm like, oh, okay, we're back in the episode.
Yeah.
No, that's not it. Totally forgot about the Lucasfilm logo and Star Wars logo.
And everything else, because we have the Lucasfilm logo, then there's the Star Wars character, there's this, and then we have the epic.
Are we ever gonna see the droid again?
Andor intro. Yeah, that's a good question.
I want to see that droid for sure. It's gonna end with him. It's gonna be like in Gladiator, what was the main dude's putting his hand through all those leaves or whatever the grass is as he's seeing his family again. That's gonna be Andor's ending after he died in Scarab.
Okay.
And it's just gonna be him and you see the droid.
What a hell of a shot to open the episode with.
Yeah, I was completely wrong. I thought it was gonna be like, oh, we're getting all the rebel story here and all that. It's like, no, we're still with the ISB.
Make sure the doors stay locked. I need immediate access to your security logs.
This should be a message to all you billionaires out there. You cannot reason with fascists. No matter how much you profit from their conservative policies, in the short term, it's going to end up biting you in the ass because you thought you could pull your weight there. I own this building. Well, we own the world.
Or even leads right up to this scene right here.
Oh, yeah, there's that too. Yeah, this other fascist who's now literally in custody.
2 years of Jeddah working group printouts in your file.
I should have reported it.
And I should have pegged you as a scavenger a long time ago.
I didn't read them all. Most of them I never opened.
But you read enough, didn't you? How does one balance such passionate competency with the mindless decision to confront Lutheran Rail on your own?
That's a fair question.
She screwed herself over so much. Wait, what is it?
If you're not a rebel spy, you missed... Did you hear that? If you're not a rebel spy, you missed your calling.
What'd she say? Ah!
The lieutenant's assistant. But she's the only one that left alive.
Those two. It may be days before he's well enough to be questioned. She needs to...
Is he still not dead? No, he is dead.
He is dead. She doesn't know for sure.
We'll do our best to carry on without you.
I don't know if you guys feel this, but I know she's not a likable character, but her being in there, the camera's turned off with a man, made me so nervous.
I mean, he got very physical with her, didn't he?
Yeah.
I wonder what her next move is. So this is how the message gets out now.
We've played 863 games. That's a solid predictive sample.
You're nervous?
He's nervous.
He is, right?
I'm so curious what's going to happen to that guy.
She escaped the hospital with an infectious condition that threatens everyone with whom she may come in contact. She must be found before thousands die.
There it is. What are you still doing here?
David, I think your question got answered. He's gonna get... He's done.
No, yeah. Because like, he was a bit of like a joke in the past episodes and all that, but I thought they were kind of like building him up.
You were supposed to be ready by now.
You sound like talking.
It's a miracle we've kept it quiet this long.
We're moments away. Days! A few more tests. We're there.
Save the sermon for Palpatine.
It's so interesting seeing this, and then with what's his name? The one that got killed by Luth in the last episode?
Lonnie.
With him and the other guy in, what was it, like the first or second batch of episodes? Where he says something and like one of them two kind of says something back at him, and him and Lonnie are just kind of like, okay. Like, what just happened?
Abbreviated chain. Too short to be decoded. I'm guessing it's something you've memorized.
Is the U-wing powered up?
Was I correct?
Is the ship prepped?
Yes,
I'm
but...
gonna need an extra hand.
We need gas.
I'm going.
No, you're not. Going where?
That's ridiculous. What if it's a trap?
One of two things is gonna happen. He's gonna get there, and she's gonna die, and he's gonna witness it because that keeps happening to him, or they do get away.
They had the antenna. It's ingenious. They spliced it into a metro tower next door. They've been using Imperial broadcast power for who knows how long.
Calibrate your enthusiasm on that one. That one's, don't get too excited about the enemy, but that's actually a really good explanation for how they did it.
I've been to Coruscant. I was in a parade there once. 200 KX units. The Emperor was there.
Parade.
Sorry, I missed.
Okay.
No.
Yeah? Yeah. Here's another one.
Like how he like talked about it as if reminiscing. It's like the Emperor was there. It's like, what the fuck? That's funny.
How many were at Gorman? Like 4?
Yeah.
200.
I think it was 6.
I can't trace back something. I don't have it.
Oh, that's her. Fuck.
Just fly next to the building, smash the window, and then hop in.
Yeah.
I mean, can't we just do that? Come on.
Hang on.
Well, it's a good thing they have that K. They have K2 because that's gonna provide that extra punch or that extra muscle.
I wonder if they're gonna leave and Andor gets stuck and that's why we meet him in Coruscant.
He's not in Coruscant, is he, in the movie?
No?
Is he?
No.
No, he's in a different planet. Different
I
system.
need to stop talking about the book because I don't remember anything.
So you really only ever watched Rogue One once?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's so scary.
I don't like it here.
Keep the engine running.
Oh no. He's gonna get up.
Well, I mean...
All clear so far. Repeat.
No disrespect, but those have to be some of the most obvious looking comms I've ever seen.
I know.
I mean, they're just...
Are you good? Yeah.
I mean, I think we could just assume that all forms of communication are like that.
Yes, I think... Well, here... Sure. I think there are better ways to hide a comm link.
It's been a while.
Walk faster. Walk faster.
I know.
I mean, come on. Let's go.
Once those radio things went out, I would have been like, oh shit, we gotta go. They're responding.
Just say it's you.
Hey. That's a neat.
I know, that's a really cool tracker. I like it.
It's a lie. It's a...
Oh my god, just leave.
A super weapon. Everything we've been chasing, that's the answer.
Okay.
Gorman, Scarif, Jeddah, the obsession with Kyber, it's all been part of one big lie.
27 and 28 west. We'll work our way up. I want 1 man on the bridge, 2 in the lobby.
I need her alive.
We told them twice. No train!
Well, apparently you have to tell them 1,000,000 times. I'm just gonna put that out there, because...
Research Center, Galen Erso, say it.
Clear.
Repeat what I've told you!
He's like,
They need to hear this.
Will you tell them? Tell them what I just told you.
I'm not leaving you here.
Why doesn't she want to go?
I think maybe that was her and Luthen's plan. That no matter what, chances are
it's becoming very obvious that Luthen was never invited to go to Yavin, and they don't want him there.
But
otherwise, why wouldn't they have just left already?
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think it matters whether he wants to be there or not. Like, he created it, he knows about it. Like,
Are you with us?
I don't know.
No.
Technically, did Luthen really do that? I mean, no, Luthen had a huge part in the rebellion formation, but isn't that Bail Organa's operation?
Bail's and Mon Mothma.
And then now Mon, yes.
That's
but I mean, either way, though, he's still a big part of it. I mean, I don't think he might have put in, like, money towards that, you know, or resources, but like I said, he's a big part of it.
No, don't stop it there.
Oh my god.
No!
Are you freaking kidding me?
No!
Oh my god. They're the wrong floor for sure. It looked cleaner.
What is the name? Oh.
Jedha Kuiper.
Name of
Urso.
Oh my god.
Should we just jump to the next one? Do we have
I'm
anything
down.
to say?
Just a quick thing. Really did not expect this to
Yes.
end like that. Sorry, I don't know why I did that at the same time. I'm so stupid. I really did not expect to like have these 3 episodes be like this. I really thought, especially the Death Star information, I really did not expect it at all. That's awesome. But yeah, I'm loving it so far. So if I get started, let's go.
All right. Let's go ahead and press play on the final episode of this show ever.
Oh no, guys! This is it. Everybody
This is
join
it.
hands for the rebellion. Oh no! I'm literally gonna cry.
Oh God.
I'm glad we got a moment where he's like chill, laughing, having a good time. He deserves
That was nice while it lasted.
I'm not sure I can do this.
Welcome to the rebellion. Give me your hand.
Oh, that moment where he shot the driver. I saw some videos pointing at it, like asking if the driver in that moment like changed his mind about working with the Empire, you know, because it did seem like he was being moved by her
thought
speech,
the same thing.
you know, so
For a second.
yeah, so it would have been interesting, like had Andor taken that chance to really talk to him, you know, it still would have been a risk and all that, but it's just, I think it's like what I always said, it's like don't make it. I think like the theme of this whole show is don't make it too late.
Yeah.
To like make the right decisions, to make a move, to just stand up for something.
We need to hear this.
Who you tell them? Hey, I just realized he got a haircut.
Yeah.
In part of the, I think, the appeal of how they made Cassian look as a character in Rogue One is how remarkably similar he looked. Well, you know, with he had the mustache, right? Or he had like a beard anyway, but he had like the hair that he has right now. The character that did have a mustache was Biggs in A New Hope. It was like the best friend of Luke Skywalker and Tatooine. He was one of the rebels that flew an X-wing to go and help destroy the Death Star. But part of the charm of Star Wars, it's a very 1970s movie. And I think there's a really good appreciation when they cast people or when they make the characters look as if they would be from the 1970s. At least the style of it.
Yeah.
You're keeping Luthen alive.
They're just chilling.
I know!
Anyone else with a tactical line failure?
Wow. Wow.
Why are we worried? K2SO is right there.
Oh, they're in the right place now.
Yep. Why are they wearing helmets?
Because he can't see.
I guess, but even some kind of like protection. I mean, the armor sucks always, but still.
Yeah, that's on them. They're the ones that made the decision to just rid themselves of the clones. Which they probably wouldn't have lost the war. They just kept the clones, but they just chose to literally... one of the first genocides the Empire did was to destroy the Kaminoans.
Mm-hmm.
Big mistake.
Slowly raise your hands above your head.
K2SO is going to show up.
Hold your fire.
Are you joking?
Stop there!
God damn.
Everyone's out running down the emergency disease warrant.
Flood it! Get anything you can of it.
He gets his own Darth Vader scene.
That's funny.
Oh my god.
Yes,
oh.
that's how it feels.
Don't come any closer! I'm not telling you again!
Oh,
That's insane!
It's in the queue. Channel check. TAC 5 board check, please.
Running it now. You'll have to wait.
He's scared. He's shaking.
it is a very good thing K2 showed up in the last episodes, because if he had shown up like in the first season, all the suspense would have just been gone away.
Yeah.
Because of him.
Honestly, yeah.
But, like even him here, like there was still suspense because she could still die and all that. But like he just made it just a little bit more
Who says
fun.
she's not?
Oh yeah, just still a chance and all that. But like he just made it more
I
fun.
assume any doubts about my value have been erased.
I mean, I think him covering her body was like a big
Oh yeah.
tell. Because we know he doesn't die. We know the other guy doesn't die.
Hard right coming.
Wait, what did he tell him? Did he not say he appreciated him? How dare you?
We're getting close, aren't we?
I suspect we'll be shot down as an enemy probe.
Shut up, Kate.
But disobeying orders is so refreshing.
I forgot how sassy he is.
Yeah.
I planned to tell him I was kidnapped.
This is it. This is it.
The energy project.
That's hardly a secret. We've been funding it for years.
It's everything I know about Luthen that makes me believe this is real.
We're talking about someone who's been a thorn in our side since we began building this alliance.
Did you know him?
Speak up!
Any of you? Does anyone in this room, besides Senator Mothma, have any idea how much you owe him?
Oh, please.
Oh, it's giving me Jedi vibes.
A year ago, when he had me rescue Senator Mothma from the Senate.
Who, by the way, he fucked up.
Duly noted.
Ha!
His inability to collaborate, the web of doubts that he created, it makes everything unbelievable.
So we do nothing?
That's funny, because your planet is the first one to get hit.
This is active intelligence.
More like puffed up speculation.
We will follow up tomorrow night with a full session.
Why isn't she saying anything?
I don't think she's in charge just yet. He's there. Right? And I think Bale's the one
her being in charge.
that's calling the shots. Because he died.
Well, no, he was
right?
still there,
Like, he
though,
was
in
never
Rogue One.
around. No,
Maybe
yeah,
it's
he
like
was, but
they don't really know who's in charge yet.
Well, it's like the real Shield. David would know that reference.
Yeah, I get you.
Where it's just a bunch of people, like 5 people who I guess have the same amount of
What
like
did he say? Oh no.
say in it. I don't even know.
Not exactly the hero's welcome I promised, was it?
I mean, she was right.
Yeah.
He's dead well. He made it worth it.
That kid's been through a lot,
I
man.
know.
So many people lost.
He won't talk to anybody but Andor.
Call him back.
Who?
Is that the planet that we saw him on?
I thought it was a person.
Catherine?
We're gonna see.
Remember this. Freedom is a pure idea. It occurs spontaneously and without instruction. Random acts of insurrection are occurring constantly throughout the galaxy. There are whole armies, battalions that have no idea that they've already enlisted in the cause. Remember that the frontier of the rebellion is everywhere. And even the smallest act of insurrection pushes our lines forward.
Is he gonna kill himself?
That's what I'm thinking, but
I mean,
also him possibly turning?
Nah. He's gonna kill himself. Yep. I mean, it's the coward way out, which is like interesting to say after the last episode, but it's different. Oh.
That's... I don't...
To be fair, I thought Deidre was gonna do that.
Is that how Deidre moves up though now? And she gets up in the Death Star?
Who knows?
Well, I mean, I feel like we've just seen the collapse of the ISB. I mean, I'm not sure there's much of an agency left.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, especially in the coming months, Krennic is killed, and Yularen dies in the Death Star. That's it. And they failed ultimately.
I'm just so curious why he was listening to the manifesto. Like, was he?
He knew he was going to kill himself because he was not going to. He knew what the punishment was. And at that point, he probably was in a state of, what was all of this for? Because that's ultimately the trap of fascism. And then also just the trap of people who commit themselves to institutions that do evil. Sure, it gets you power, it gets you influence. But somewhere along the way, if you mess up, doesn't matter if it's a big one or a small one, they will come and they will eat you alive.
I mean, that thing he said, what do you think it is? When he's questioning, like, why wouldn't these people just do what they're told, you know?
And then he just also just realized the failure or the futility in his mission there at the ISB. It just keeps spreading and spreading and spreading. Ultimately, you know where this is going to end. The Empire has failed to contain this because the Empire is what they are. And it should also, not that it matters to the show, but it does matter to the state of the Empire. At this point, there is no more Grand Admiral Thrawn. By this point, they would have disappeared. Never to be seen from again in many, many years. And he probably was one of those people that if he had remained, it would have been far harder to defeat. And then also they're going to lose Tarkin soon too in the Death Star. So I mean, one by one, they're all just kind of like.
She should not be left alone. She's making me nervous.
We've been released.
They threw us out. It's hard to listen to him.
None of that is true.
Tivik's on Kafrene until tomorrow. He'll only meet with you.
That doesn't sound promising.
Do you trust
Is that where we meet him?
That's what I said.
Oh.
But I'm not sure.
That may be who he meets in the beginning of the movie. You're right.
We all said that now. We've all said it. And we can't figure it out.
No, yeah. I'm saying that you're right, yeah.
Okay.
They're like, listen.
Waking up humans is always confusing.
It is for us, too.
What is it? The man you do not like is here.
Excuse us, droid.
That's funny. He's watering them for her. No.
Yeah, it seems like all the pieces are on the board.
Oh. All right.
As if any of that's a surprise.
That's interesting that they showed that, though.
Yeah.
Oh shit. They seriously sent her off to a prison.
Mm-hmm.
That droid better show up.
I mean, if they showed the husband, they gotta show the droid, right?
Right? Who wants to see the husband? Oh, they're not gonna show him.
Fuck yeah, dude. Let's fucking go.
You could go again. One more, and I win.
She went back. Picks him back. Right?
Yep.
She has a kid.
Does she?
Yeah, that's definitely her holding something. After credit scene. So are we watching Andor? I mean, Rogue One. Rogue One is just called Andor now. Yeah, I decided. Rogue One. It's just called Andor. I don't even know where to start, honestly. It feels almost like bittersweet in a sense. Like I want more from this ending, but like, I mean, I feel like I'm like this with every ending of what I see of any show or movie, where I'm just kind of like, I don't know how I feel about this. So it's kind of hard to say my thoughts in this moment because it literally just happened. But for sure, good way to end it with Bix holding his child. Would have wished we would have gotten something about his sister, but it's totally fine. I don't think the show.
I think the fact that he never stopped thinking of her.
Mm-hmm. It is nice. So, but I mean, I don't even if we had like 5 seasons, I don't think we would have gotten any answers. I think it would have just been like, it's just something that you got to leave it behind, or at the very least, hope that she's somehow alive. But I think it is best for us, at least, to not know what exactly happened to her. And everything else, though, I think he ended it pretty well. I would say the only one that was for sure like, dang, I don't know what's gonna happen to her is Clea.
Mm-hmm.
I think that she is the only one where I do wish I know.
I mean, I think her thing in the end was kind of like, I mean, what he says, like, none of that would have happened if it wasn't for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was her sitting in the, I'm gonna cry.
I think
it was her sitting in that moment of like, we did this.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and I think it's
it was worth it.
I'm sure for Luthen it'll be worth it, and I think for him it'll be worth it that she'll get to see that sunrise. I think is what it was in his speech.
Oh no!
And so it's nice, but I think out of everyone, I think Clea is the one that I would like to know more about her story. Who knows? But yeah, great endings though with Deirdre ending up in that prison. Oh, that's good. That's really good.
If only that happened in real life.
I'm sad about Deirdre's boss only because like he's such a cool character. He had such an awesome presence, and the fact that like every other person working beneath him just had this giant fear of him, even though I mean, he's an old man, you know. It's but just that's how you. It's just cool seeing like that's how much power he holds, I guess, over everyone and with his job. So he was such an awesome character. Almost every line of dialogue he had was just, I wanted to hear everything. I loved it, and the way he like brought up Deirdre almost, you know, as I'm sure he wanted her to be like some kind of protege to him and all that. But
I mean, it kind of goes back to this thing of like parent and daughter, son, whatever relationship. It kind of all ties in together.
Interesting. Yes. Yeah. I didn't think about that, but that's very much true as well. I think ultimately, initially when you're left after this was done, you are in a sense of it feeling very bittersweet. That's a really good way of putting it, David, because like I feel like we got what we needed, but it's so good that you just want so much more than what it is. That's, I think, ultimately the problem, because I feel like these were stellar episodes and it brought the pieces together. And very much was very interesting is that you can watch all of Andor, and then the closing moments of the show lead up to Rogue One. You can watch all of Rogue One, and then you can watch A New Hope. It's just like one continuous interesting story there. Yeah. It's hard, obviously, to just like go into all of it, but I do feel it's this thing of like, this show made us really love the character Cassian Andor, and here he is basically walking to his destiny, which is death and sacrifice.
And he, like, even if there were moments where he wanted to leave, he still did it, you know, and he did it willingly, and like, I don't know. It makes me so sad. I don't know. He's such an interesting character.
Mm-hmm. I would say the one.
I mean, ultimately. No, go ahead.
I would say the one thing that sucks about the show, it has nothing to do with the show itself, but when you do get into A New Hope, I would much rather know the thoughts of everyone else around the rebel army. Like, what are their thoughts on the fact that there's just this dude who has all these magical powers and is gonna save them and all that? Like, I just want to know more about them and their thoughts, because everything leading up to it, especially like with Mon Mothma
Which
and her
dude?
cousin and
Luke. Luke.
You mean at the time of the battle of Yavin, when the Death Star is happening?
Well, I mean, in the whole trilogy, really. Like, what are their thoughts?
Okay.
I mean, especially, the third one, too, because at that point, I think they all know that there's some sort of, like, super person on their side.
I just wanted to make the distinction clear, because, I mean, when A New Hope happens, I mean, Luke isn't a Jedi yet, and at no point does he really present himself as such, and so most people would not really associate him. He's just a rebel who became a legend because he blew up the Death Star. And then at that point, all these things happen, yada, yada, yada. And then by the end of the original trilogy, then that's when the further legends came about, which were definitely revisited in The Force Awakens so many years down the line. Go ahead, David.
I don't know. I mean, that was pretty much it. But, I mean, for sure, those thoughts, after the trilogy too, like, everything they did leading up to getting this savior of sorts and all that.
Yeah.
Like, what are their thoughts on it?
I was listening to somebody do a review, and they said something along the lines of, it feels like this show, sorry, I'm like hearing my voice and it's weird. This show encapsulates what the original intention of Star Wars was always meant to be. And after watching everything, even after watching, I would say, like, even after watching the original trilogy, because I feel like it all really does tie in together. I think that that's true. Everything else aside from that, and I know we have our thoughts on The Last Jedi, but it's like different, I think. Whereas the original trilogy and this show, I think it's kind of like the basis of what George Lucas is trying to tell. And in a way, but like, I don't think so, like, to warn people of. But this show specifically just, I think, does a very good job of doing that. Like, I'm so interested, and I don't know if it's already been done before, but I want to know his thoughts on all of this.
From what I understand, George only spoke with Tony Gilroy once after having seen Rogue One. This is according to a recent interview, and that apparently it was a very lengthy phone call, basically saying, just gushing about how much he loved Rogue One, which is very, I think the point you're making is all well and good. Especially with, for me, George Lucas is kind of an anomaly, That guy is just kind of hard to pin down. Because when you think about, like, the totality, of what he had in his mind, it's not a completely black and white story. And people, I think, like to make it as such. Because just to look at what was made, okay, you have the original films, and then you have the prequels, which are very different movies. And he made those movies. And then you think to yourself, it's like, when you watch the original 6 films, and you're like, you don't necessarily get the best sense that he himself has the best sense of what he was locking down. I think George is a big idea guy. Mm-hmm. He has all these different thoughts. And I think you can trace that back when you watch Empire of Dreams, a documentary of the making of the original trilogy. Again, like, his original screenplay was literally the entirety of the original trilogy as one movie, which is insane. That's what was his intention, was to make all 3 movies as one movie, and that was it. And he was forced to significantly just do the first act as one movie. And then you hear these in the documentary, you see how originally he had this idea of Han Solo being a frog creature. Mm-hmm. or Luke being an old man or something, and it's like the original trilogy, heart, soul, and mind, yes, George, but we have to remind ourselves, it's just like it was the totality of the work of all of the people around him that guided him in the right direction. I feel like Filoni, when it came to the Clone Wars, was a very good filter for him. Because I feel like we conflate a lot of the times what we consider the Filoniverse. The Clone Wars is an interesting situation because I think it does fit into that, but we have to also remind ourselves, Dave was the manager. George was the one calling the shots.
Mm-hmm.
He had those ideas for the most part. I mean, not that Dave didn't contribute. I mean, of course, both of them, it was a collaborative process. But there it is again. The Clone Wars was a collaborative process, and it was successful. The prequels were not a collaborative process. And from a creative standpoint, they were very unsuccessful because George only had people around him that would never say no to him. And those movies ended up being exactly what you see them even to this very day. And then when we come to the Disney era, and when you want to pin down his thoughts per se, well, I mean, it's difficult because, yes, he loves Rogue One. He made no secret about his dissatisfaction with The Force Awakens, and there's a lot of complicated feelings there. They probably wasted his time, had him come into a meeting, and had him present his ideas for a sequel trilogy, and they dismissed him.
Mm-hmm.
And they dismissed him personally, and I'm not sure he was expecting that. I mean, of course, that's honestly on him for thinking that they would realistically listen to him after the reception of the prequel trilogy. And then also, especially when you hear the reports of what he wanted to delve into these microscopic creatures that live with the midichlorians. And okay, we're getting more sci-fi, less what Star Wars more or less pertains to. And I mean, I'm all for, an artist and a creative trying to like delve, but it just sounded like if he had his way, it would have been the death knell of Star Wars. So, these people who say they should have listened to George's ideas for the 3 films, I think many of these people are either very, very misinformed or operating in bad faith, just to say we hate Disney Star Wars. But nevertheless, they didn't use any of his ideas in The Force Awakens, and I think he ultimately was disturbed by what the inspiration was and what the execution was. He even called it as they were trying to do this retro thing, and he just wanted it to be something completely different than what had come before. It wasn't just that he was saying, oh, it was too similar to A New Hope, because that's full of shit. Like, I mean, he liked Rogue One, and I think many people liked the connections to A New Hope there. So it was more so that they didn't use his ideas, and they did something that was just not what he wanted to do. And then as far as The Last Jedi is concerned, look, that one is also an anomaly to itself, because Lord knows we've documented what that movie does to people, the weird reactions, the weird feelings it makes people feel. And I mean, it's interesting. I mean, we don't necessarily know Dave Filoni's thoughts or Jon Favreau's thoughts on The Last Jedi. I mean, J.J. Abrams has said that he liked it, but you watch his movies and I'm not sure you'd believe it. I mean, right? So it's like, I feel like, to me, the tragedy of the success of the Last Jedi is just a lot of the Emperor has no closed moments. Because I suspect that Rian Johnson may be the single most important person to have contributed to a film in this universe, in that he understood Star Wars more than the actual creator did. Now, that isn't to take away from George Lucas, because George Lucas, obviously, this wouldn't happen without him. And I appreciate the fact that he
doing a Yavin on Luthen with George Lucas.
Yeah. Basically. I did. Okay, sure. That's true. But the thing is this, it's like George has always maintained the inspirations for Star Wars, and he has never shied away from those political inspirations as well. So I feel like as far as the spirit and for what inspired it, he still very much maintains that. But with Rian Johnson, he understood Star Wars better than anybody else, and even the fans. Fuck the fans. And honestly, at this point, like, I don't know what Favreau or Filoni or anybody else, I mean, just like, they're just dicking around, doing action figure scripts with the status quo maintained, no progress moving forward. And it's like, receive like this. They throw a baby Yoda at you, and the whole world's like, yeah. No substance whatsoever to any of it. But the people who best understood, okay, so I think the mysticism, and I think the original lessons that Star Wars was going for, as far as what the Jedi are supposed to be about, Rian Johnson had that. And then on the other end of things, for what Star Wars was inspired by and what it's supposed to represent to the normal person, Tony Gilroy has that. I think these two individuals have brought out the best of what the original message of what the story is about. Everybody else, I think they kind of understand that, but they don't care as much about it as the mythology, the lore, the lightsaber battles, the pew pew pow pow, the bombs dropping in space, which, by the way, no one even brings out that Empire Strikes Back dropped bombs in space before The Last Jedi did. But I guess that was a big controversy when The Last Jedi came. I mean, look, we lived it. The Last Jedi came out, and people were bitching about purple hair and bombs dropped in space, and Leia flying like Superman, and all this shit. And I'm like, really, this is the psychobabble that we're going to be concerned ourselves with? We're not going to actually engage in what the Yoda came back and actually spelled out the failure the greatest teacher is. Star Wars has been something we've avoided talking about on the show for years because it is just a rabbit hole and it gets all of us just fiery for a lot of, and me personally also, it's just like, I mean, especially because since 2017, what have we gotten? We've gotten Solo, Rise of Skywalker, The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, just like 5 fucking duds in a row, but the one saving grace, Andor. And you also, by the way, saw a version. Funnily enough, I think maybe, I don't know, did you guys ever see any of the episodes of the Mando season 3? But they did 1 or 2. There was one episode that people were laughingly calling their Andor-inspired episode because it actually like was attempting to deal with the politics of the New Republic, which, by the way, okay, but it's laughable to think that was anywhere comparable. And then it's even more laughable how you even included the New Republic in Ahsoka, which that was a travesty. Stay tuned because it's gonna come back. The circus is back in town, coming later this year, and we already know what it's going to be, because I mean, I feel like what is happening with the Filoniverse is just basically the same thing that happened with the prequels. The prequels were maligned for many reasons, but it fucked up the characters and nothing made sense. The acting was stilted and wooden, and it was whatever was to be perceived or conveyed from it was completely lost in translation. That's Ahsoka. We spent 8 weeks watching Ahsoka, and all of us, by the way, watched the Clone Wars and Rebels. We love these characters, and a lot of what Filoni had done up to that point. We watched Ahsoka, and it was as if we were in the wilderness, just like trying to like find our way through this cavernous, like all-encompassing maze of mystery boxes, and then also just terrible acting, terrible writing, terrible action, terrible lightsaber duels, just the worst direction probably ever seen in a Star Wars live action anything. I mean, I like people recently were bringing up that clip of Ahsoka doing this and this with a whole bunch of like with 30 stormtroopers in front of her, and she's just like standing there and then one at a time like this. No sense of logic whatsoever. It's almost as, honestly, when you think back at how bad Ahsoka was, it was as if Filoni was like, let me just do the best I can to replicate what George did with the prequel films. Mission accomplished. And then even worse than that, he can't even communicate what it is his version of Star Wars is. He is the one that brought forth the world between worlds. There was this big episode where you bring in Hayden Christensen. What was the message that was supposed to be conveyed there? What was the point of any of that? So it's like, for me as a Star Wars fan, it has been like the the domestic housewife that comes back after they've been battered again and again. It's like, okay, here I am again, even though I've already been let down many, many times. I mean, we used to be in a point where it's like the prequels are the low point of like of this universe. I mean, you take your pick. You get Ahsoka, you get a Book of Boba Fett, you get the Rise of Skywalker. And yet, in the midst
that
of
one
all this
hurts
diarrhea, you have Andor. Go ahead.
more because it's like the shows.
It let us all down.
No. The shows I can like. Okay.
Ignore them.
Yeah, but that one is like part of the lineup, you know. So that one hurts a lot because it was horrible, and it's like I know that we say like, "Oh, The Last Jedi is the last movie," but like we can't ignore the fact that it's not.
No, you can. You absolutely can. I have the perfect tweet for you right here. You absolutely can ignore it. It ended with this because ultimately, what better shot to end the series on than this? Because this single shot right here, by the way, while many idiots thought to, I wonder what Ryan is thinking there. What's he teasing? Is this going to go to his sequel trilogy? Who is Broom Boy? Is he going to be the next big fucking... Almost said a slur. Idiots. Like, come on here, because like seriously, look at this. You look at this ending sequence here, and you pull away from it's teasing the next big thing. Kind of like how we were talking about the movie Sinners by Ryan Coogler this year, and how people were like thinking, is Ryan Coogler teasing the Sinners too? No. No, not even a little bit, you dumbasses.
That was
and then
crazy.
If you look at this, but that's where it stems from. And so when you look at this, like this is just a random person in the galaxy who heard the legend of Luke Skywalker, and he is having the right sense of values and facing a galaxy of tyranny. That's Star Wars. What's more Star Wars than that? It's the little guy taking on the galaxy. The big evil empire. Which, if you're just even a little bit self-aware of where we are right now in history and civilization, I think people should be able to relate to that. By the way, every week that this show has been on, there has been new stories, new tales to tell of our, everyday in fascist America. Because now apparently progressive influencers are being questioned about their loyalty to Donald Trump as they come back into the nation. Just at this day of the recording, a Wisconsin judge was indicted by a grand jury for helping to assist an undocumented immigrant from being deported from the country. If only there was a show that was speaking to these very things. Deirdre Merrow is not just a character in Star Wars. It is a group of individuals who are alive today in this very moment who have captured the government of this country and are running it. And for however talented they are at grabbing power and making people suffer, you always have to remind yourself of how incredibly gifted they are at being stupid into thinking that they're going to end their lives with, I don't know what they think their reward is, but the thing that we have to keep reminding ourselves is, and to keep the hope alive, all of those sick bastards eventually end up being in the same position. And what makes it, I think, really one of the more powerful endings to a character through Andor is, many people wanted Dedra to be killed in a viciously horrific way. But I think the ending that she got is honestly, she got what she deserved.
That's what I mean.
And how ironic is that?
When the other guy, unalived himself, it was the coward's way out. He couldn't face what he had done. He knows how bad the people that he works for are, and he was like, nah.
And as if there weren't already a number of references to Nazi Germany, Tony Gilroy had just one more hidden in him, because what did the leader of the Third Reich do to himself as the Allied powers were about to... By the way, I don't know if anybody caught this, but it's interestingly enough how the ISB people nicknamed Luthen Axis, the Axis powers in World War II, if you remember that. So again, it's like, I was waiting for somebody to pull that, but I don't know if it's been mentioned just yet, but that's a really interesting inclusion in there. But yeah.
But Star Wars isn't political, though, so it can't be there.
Basically, right? It never was. And it never will be. And to think that, again, going back to The Last Jedi, people were like, why is a Star Wars movie stopping to tell us that it's bad to be a war profiteer?
Oh, the moment. Oh, when Cassian comes back and they're all sitting and he's telling them like what the plan is about the Death Star and everything. That scene when they're all attacking him, they're, not agreeing with what he's saying, not believing him. But the moment that they all were like, what was the energy project or whatever? And all of them said, we have given money to this. That was insane. Like, and you know what makes me so happy? That ties into The Last Jedi, where it was the first time that they said these people give money to the good people and the bad people. And now people cannot say that scene was worthless or it didn't matter.
Especially because I believe they also did this in Mandalorian. No, in Mandalorian, in that Andor, I guess, inspired episode, they did say that, well, they didn't say, but they showed wealthy individuals who are like, what, Empire, Rebellion, Republic, who can keep up these days? That's how indifferent it is to people like that. It doesn't matter. So that kind of is what happens there. But, speaking of that, contentious sequence with all the leadership of the rebellion and for all the concerns that were going on, it is frustrating, that there will always be individuals who theoretically are on your side and agree with you, but just fight you every step of the way. Speaking of cowardice, Major Partagas was the one that took himself out on the Empire side, but I mean, we have to remind ourselves that two of those people on that council, the Rebellion Council, who make an appearance in Rogue One, they were cowards too. They did not sanction an attack on Scarif, if you recall. Mm-hmm. It had to be the people who were on Scarif at the time to take matters into their own hands and say, fuck this. Because the leadership would not do anything. Just like the Jedi Council. And just like that, again, to draw a mirror into our reality, I wonder if there happens to be the leadership of a political party who theoretically aligns with the average person, but does absolutely nothing to help them. But the only time they decide to lift a finger, it's to block people who are a threat to their wealth and status. Again, no accident that this show is happening when, right now there is a coming civil war in the Democratic Party. There is a person on the inside who happened to be one of the vice chairs who just said, we need to challenge a lot of the people who are old and ineffective, and they're now changing the rules to kick him out. It is honestly, horrifying is the right word. That when we're watching a show about a tyrannical empire crushing people in the most horrific ways imaginable, we're reminded of our own lives in many, many ways. Not that we are at the point of that happening, but we're definitely at a point of an international crisis happening because we have a government that is every day violating the law and to their credit in different ways that we couldn't have been foreseen. So that's just kind of how it is. So yeah, it's a constant struggle. But I think ultimately what rebellions are built on hope. George Lucas keeps talking about, for people that come into this universe to make new stories, to remember who the intended audience was for. And I love the fact that George has never minced words about who ultimately this was made for. He always says it was made for 12-year-olds, but he always, and I guess to some people that comes off as condescending and dismissive, but it never really was to him. He was, I think making this movie for the inner child in himself. Stories, and I was of the age, I think it was 11 or 12 when I watched the movies, or 10, 11, or 12 for the first time. That's the perfect age to get into them because it can help shape your view of the world and humanity and to fight back against evil. And despite the fact that Andor is easily the most mature of all of the Star Wars properties or stories, you could say, it still is centered on the idea, and I believe this is what Filoni claims that, he learned most from George, is whatever Star Wars story you tell, you have to keep in mind that you have to keep hope alive. And in these times that we live in, it is hard to keep the hope, keep the faith alive. But I'm very happy that this show came out. And I'm very happy because it is a reminder that we're not alone. We're not alone in thinking that the way of our lives are unraveling because we have a bunch of maniacal idiots who are trying to crush us. But as long as there's enough people who take notice of the atrocities happening on a daily basis, there will always be hope to push back and overcome that. And that ultimately is what George was trying to tell from the very beginning. And I think what Tony Gilroy took most from that, and I think flawlessly executed it with this series. It's a shame, yes, that there wasn't more time to do more and flesh out more stories. But despite that, it is, I think, impressive, to say the least, that they were able to tell a complete story. They got all the main bits out there. For who these, and I mean, to say nothing else of just creating these wonderful characters who are going to stay with us. I mean, finally, they were able to do something that I think most people didn't think was possible, which was to make a Star Wars series where which is normal people like you and me, were the front and center. So, you really can't sing the praises enough of a show like this. And I also will say, because it bears repeating, it says a lot of people who refuse to engage with this show, and you know who I'm talking about. That's what I'm going to say there. Guys, please go ahead. I know we're going on long, but it's the finale. Go ahead.
You mentioned that the original trilogy, like, it was, George's idea, but it became great because of a team effort with everyone else around him, kind of guiding him through what the story should be. The same thing goes with Andor. Mentioned it before. Tony Gilroy has said he doesn't like Star Wars. He wanted to make his own story and slapped the Star Wars logo on it. That's what he did. And, everything else around it, people helped him out, everything that you see in Luthen's, art gallery, I guess. Tony Gilroy had no idea what any of those things were. People would ask him questions about it. And he's like, "Hey, did you know this is here?" And he'd just be like, "No, I don't know. You have to ask the art department for that." Like, I don't know what that is exactly. he
Love
didn't
that
know
for
what,
him.
Which once again proves, by the way, and I'm sorry to interrupt you and hold your thought, but it just, real quickly, it proves the point. Fandoms make the worst assumptions and have the worst talking points. This being one of them. That in order for a new story in an ongoing universe to be any good, you need to hire people who are already fans. That is a load of bullshit. Because we can name you plenty of examples, and here's another one.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and then and then he didn't know who Mom Mothma was. He just asked some dude.
He didn't know.
Yeah, he just asked some fun facts about her and chose whichever one he can make a story out of.
Fun facts.
That's all he did. And I know people will bring up, because moments of or with Mom Mothma's speech, how she said one in Rebels, but she's also said one before this, and in the show that we see, people want to say it's like, oh, see, he like worked the story around so he can do his own thing, but still respected the lore and all that. And it's like, we mentioned it before. I hate that word, respect the lore and all that. To me, if you're keeping in mind what an original story was or what some other story was,
as long as you keep like what is meant to be said, that's all that matters.
No, it's just
communication is a very powerful thing as well,
Yeah.
because I feel like George and Filoni themselves fell victim to this mentality of like respecting the Lord too much, and you tell a story that's only maybe a quarter of the way complete. Like you can pick, like for example, when you watch any of the prequel movies, who the fuck is Sifo Dyas? Why is so... Also, in Revenge of the Sith, why do they even say Qui-Gon has returned as a Force ghost? And when you are so obsessed with the lore in your head, it's not exact. Like, remember in Book of Boba Fett, when Cad Bane came out? I can only imagine so many people who had never watched Clone Wars. Who the fuck is this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? Like...
No, yeah,
Go ahead,
it just
go ahead.
No, yeah, like the whole respecting the lore thing. It bothers me so much because if I wrote, an adaptation of a book or something, I'm trying to like keep faith to the book and everything. It's not out of respect to the writer or anything. It's just that's just a basic knowledge that I have to do. It's like an unwritten contract that I have to do the best I can to adapt this and be as faithful as possible to the source material, and if any changes I make, it's because I thought that it was best for the story to either condense it down to a 2-hour movie or something, or just maybe I thought this part of the book or comic book or something, like it was lame, so it needed to be changed. Like that's all you got to do and all that, and it's not a respect. That's just basic thing. And then also people will say it's like, yeah, it is basic, and yet they can't do it. It's like, yeah, I know that, but don't give me that bullcrap of like you want to be in this moral high ground when you want to make complaints about the original story. It's like, oh, but and when it comes to I don't want politics in my shows or movies or in my entertainment and all that, and your excuse is because they're not respecting the lore. I'm sorry, but that's bullshit. Like you're using that as an excuse so that you don't have to see a person of color in front of the TV or two gay couples or a gay couple in front of your screen and all that. Like you're just making these excuses to try to hide the fact that you're misogynistic or racist or homophobic or sexist and all that. And it's not working. People see through it, and now for a lot of YouTubers, they dug themselves into a hole because this is very, very, very political, and anything that you say is just going to come off as odd, and you can't make excuses now.
Yep. Ugh. Crazy.
No, go ahead.
Oh. Any scene or anything that you thought was like, oof, great, or just the show overall?
I think what's going to stick most with people is the savagery of the Gorman massacre.
Mm-hmm.
Just in the end, I think that was so deeply moving and affecting. I've seen many reactions where people are just like literally left in a puddle of tears because of what happens. The speech, Mon Mothma, which I know it's kind of a sore spot to bring up on the show because there was some controversy about it getting cut short. Apparently, whatever that happens to be the case, but it was a great speech, and I think it's a great moment because I feel like, again, we keep saying, but if you pull that speech and you just remove the Star Wars references, that monster who will come for all of us soon enough won't be Emperor Palpatine, but it's you know who. So again, I think that's definitely anything that, especially how many episodes ended with just like a devastated Cassian, which is like, I mean, seriously, it was comical about how many of them actually ended up being that way, but yeah, no, it's hard to pick one. I mean, we're gonna remember Mon dancing out.
Raging out.
With the yep, getting all that out of her system. But yeah, is there someone you wanted to see more of?
The droid.
The droid.
I don't even know its name.
I mean, within this season, I think we got enough of everyone. Like, I think they really wrapped it up in a neat bow for a lot of them. It's just, I would like to see what happens to them after. I mean, even Deirdre, like, does she get out of prison? Does she die in the prison within those 3 movies? Like, what happens? But within the show, within the season, I think everyone got exactly where they needed to be in the end. So
I think for me, definitely the Gorman Massacre. I think like any speech that anybody does, and like including the one from the first season, Luthen's speech, Saw Gerrera's speech, obviously Mon Mothma. But I think the character that's gonna stick with me is gonna be Cyril. I think he was so interesting. And the moment where I still don't know his name. The mayor, whatever, of Corbin, tells him, what kind of a being are you? And just how he, and I think, I mean, the who are you moment was the moment where he was just like, fuck. But I think that moment was him just like realizing like, yeah, what am I doing? What's happening? You know, I think that was a moment where everything just kind of set in, was like, things are not what I thought they were. And I feel like that is very, like, that is, I think, how we feel towards other people and what we wish we can convey to them. You know, aside from, like, just telling them, like, hey, this is not cool, but just how can you live with yourselves with all of these things that's, like, going on in the show and in real life? Like, I don't know. I loved that moment.
By the way, some people are saying in the reactions, listen to the music of the end credits for episode 12. So I'm listening to it right now, just in case it's just something interesting. I mean, the music, by the way, which we've not discussed, from both season 1 and season 2. Now, look, Nicholas Bertel made some incredible themes. I do not believe he came back for season 2, but I think that the new composer did some great stuff. But look, the music has just been great, memorably great too. I'll even say better than Ludwig Göransson for The Mandalorian. Though The Mandalorian's an amazing theme. Don't come at me. Don't come at me. I know it's a great theme. I listen to it too. But when it comes to how music is used in the show, fuck off with that shit. Don't even bother. Well, you do wonder though.
I like how we all stayed quiet. We're listening to the music. I think we're all.
I know. You brought it up after.
Because I love how they brought back the manifesto. And as part of this was listening to it. And you're just distracting me. I'm just so distracted right now. But I think it's fair to think that maybe he was having maybe I've been on the wrong side the whole time moment. Who knows? But also it was more just like, well, I guess this is the time for it to go.
And also love the fact that his manifesto is somehow playing like on a loop in some frequency.
You guys have to remind me.
The manifesto?
Yeah.
Do you remember the heist they pulled off? And the kid that was there.
I hear it now.
Oh, you do?
Are you hearing it?
I don't know what part are you on? Like, what's your time?
You'll hear it. That's cool. If you're still listening to the end credits, it'll kick in. The part that you're meant to that's a.
Well, I don't know. But the kid that
the fast part?
No.
Oh.
Okay.
It'll come.
Okay.
The kid that was with him, he was supposed to be like their guide out of the eye thing. And he had like a manifesto of his own, basically just claiming like, freedom will always win and all that. Fascism will always lose. Andor kept that. It was like a video or voice log.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear at one point, he was the one that said, remember this, try. Which is like, I think to me that's like a big moment.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice transition into Star Wars.
Oh.
It's so good. I love it.
It really because it has to go back to the John Williams score, and you just like it's all kind of it's just brought back to you all at once. Oh my god, it's so good.
Wow.
It's like, I mean, what's so special? It's just a Star Wars score, guy. I don't know. It adds something more now that this is done, and now what we're transitioning to is the era of the original trilogy.
Mm-hmm. It's just the theme is so good. It would have worked if they actually played it in the show. I mean, I'm glad they did it because keep it separate and all that. But it would have worked, with her with Biggs carrying the baby,
Right.
It would have worked. What were we saying before? Oh yeah, the manifesto thing. Saying
yes,
I actually like that speech only because the whole remember this, try, only because I feel like not a lot of people talked about it, but that kind of goes against what the original trilogy was doing with the line of do or do not, there is no try. No one ever seems to bring that up, but I always find it interesting that he actually put that within a Star Wars show,
Mm-hmm.
This is the thing. I just saw a tweet by Houston Colley saying, rewatching Rogue One after he's seen the finale. And I fear the intended effect has backfired. I'm disliking this more than I did before.
Yeah.
Which I'm curious to see. And then one of the reasons, and someone named Matt Turner said, it doesn't work with Jyn as the protagonist. It's weird that she just takes the lead and Cassian is just there and she isn't as good or as deep a character.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that I literally said after this, it's like, oh, let's watch Andor. I'm like, no, wait, I meant Rogue One. Like, shows you how much I care for that character and would much rather have him be the focus of it, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe they can read
for sure. I hope at some point down the line we get to see Diego Luna come back to this character, because I feel like I'm very happy for him. I mean, we were all happy for him when he got that role of Cassian in Rogue One, but I think it was also bittersweet at the time because, well, it was just a one and done. Whereas other players got to stick around for, let's say, a couple of movies. But for him to come back in this, I mean, I feel like before, I think it would have been a laughable suggestion to think that Cassian Andor was anybody's favorite character before Andor. Now, I can see a whole legion of Cassian stans. Like, you can make the argument he is the ultimate rebel. And even more because he died for the cause. So yeah, it's like we began with a bittersweet sense, and we also kind of are ending with a bittersweet sense here. But I think to me, Andor is just another reminder how there are many, many people who have lived, who've called themselves actors, who've never really gotten the chance to really prove what they can bring to the table. And what I've always said every week of these reactions is, week in and week out, all the actors that come on the show really got the chance to shine in one small way or the other. But what Diego Luna was able to do with this character, it should be recognized.
Yeah.
You should just put it out there.
I
it
mean,
should be recognized. And
to be fair, he's a big actor in Mexico, so I had absolutely no doubt that he was gonna kill it.
Mm-hmm.
Even in Rogue One, I mean, maybe I was a little biased because I mean, I knew who he was and I had seen other stuff, so him being in the movie got me excited.
Yeah.
But again, I haven't watched it in a very long time, so I that always stuck with me, but he's in the movie. And so when people are like Andor or Cassian, I'm just like, but it's Diego Luna.
And it's also, again, to remind ourselves with Rogue One, as we said from the top, it's just Tony Gilroy was able to salvage it, but it also just was troubled from the very beginning, it looks like.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, shout out to this moment here. It's funny how, when Dedra catches Luthen and she thinks that she's won, and then he says, and you're too late. The rebellion isn't here anymore. It's flown away. It's everywhere now. There's a whole galaxy out there waiting to disgust you.
Mm-hmm.
God damn. We cannot leave here without just come on, Krennic's burn. What did he say to her? If you weren't, what did he say,
yeah,
you missed your calling. If you weren't a rebel spy, you missed your calling. That's how bad she fucked up the situation. I mean, come on. That's
Luthen said something to her also in that conversation. What was it? When she was like, all you want to bring is chaos or something like that. And
No.
he tells her something back. You're afraid of
You're afraid of freedom.
freedom?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought it was something else.
Do you think it was that? Yeah.
Never mind. It's not that great anymore. I mean, it still is, but
Oh, wait.
I thought he
Did
had
David ruin it for you?
No.
It sounds like it did. You're just like, oh.
No, I
And
don't
then
know
it was
why I
just
thought
it.
it was something different.
Also, can we give a huge shout out to Luthen's wig? I mean, one of the best wigs I've seen, like maybe ever. Like that was, and then also the de-aging
Yeah,
VFX too.
That was good.
It was very nicely done. Not at all distracting. And we haven't even touched on the fact how Rogue One is kind of like infamous for introducing something that other studios have sought to abuse in the worst ways possible. You know, at the time, I just thought it was like incredible technological achievement what they were able to do to recreate these actors. But of course, we can't have nice things, and then it just ends up being abused to the point where it is just disgusting, unbelievably. But it's interesting because I meant one thing here. I mentioned how in Luthen's antique shop there was that piece of the Mortis gods. Did you see that rock?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if you let me pull it up here. This thing right there,
Yeah.
which was from Star Wars Rebels. Which again, talking about the timeline. Yes, this takes place after, and the Empire was already there, and so either he acquired it from the Empire, or I don't know. But and this would be from Lothal, I believe, which at this point in the timeline would have been liberated, and the Empire never went back there. Which, if you remember, in the finale of Rebels, another stone cold Imperial bitch went out in a blaze of glory. Instead of like taking, like she was offered an escape, if you remember Governor Price, but she just like she said, "Long live the Empire," and then just died in a fiery explosion.
At least she
Just
did it off herself.
hey, she went out as herself.
Yeah.
She went down with the ship.
A hero in her eyes.
Yeah. Interesting. But no, I mean, like, with the conclusion of this, it does make me just want to watch Star Wars all over. I mean, these last few weeks, because we've been doing Andor. Yeah, it's just like you want to watch. I've already been watching the movies, as I've been saying. So it's like almost like an infectious disease. As soon as you get one thing, it just keeps going and going. Especially because where it leads to. I don't know if I'm gonna watch that. So, I guess if there's one thing we can do before we close, are we gonna watch Ahsoka?
I mean, we're not doing reactions.
Oh god.
What happened?
We're not doing reactions, but maybe I'll watch
You're gonna keep to that promise. You're just not gonna do reactions to it.
Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
Uh-huh.
What's your reasoning? What's your reasoning for that? Why? Because I feel like, hey, if there was anything I enjoyed about Ahsoka existing, was the fact that we got to react to that, and that was fun. And I feel
We'll
like
see.
from that perspective, yeah, we'll see about that one.
Knowing especially
it's-
you guys, it's gonna happen.
It's gonna.
I
we
heard.
know it's gonna be
I
bad.
don't know like how true this is, or I mean, I assumed he was gonna come back, but I heard that Anakin was gonna be in a lot of episodes.
Well, maybe we'll get the context this time. Maybe we'll get something that actually is interesting.
Maybe.
Or more likely, we won't. And that's how it
Who
is.
do you think is gonna show up this time?
Ahsoka?
Everyone. Predictions.
Well, I'm sure she. It's called Ahsoka. I'm sure she would be on the show at some point.
I mean, like
right
in Ahsoka.
But I mean, I feel like just everyone.
I think
they already confirmed Admiral Akbar is going to be a big part of it.
He was the one that came out in Andor, right?
No,
that was Admiral Rez.
Oh, I was gonna say like that's like perfect. They didn't make a big show about it. It wasn't like.
Oh, and then you have to also remind yourselves in Rogue One. Remember how they introduced Organa with the Force theme, as he just like walks up into the the holo table and then says nothing. You don't remember
she doesn't
that?
remember.
It's
for
gonna
sure.
be fun to watch that.
Wait, in
Rogue
One?
Yeah.
Are you talking about Leia?
No, not Leia. Her dad.
Jimmy Smits.
Nope, I don't remember. Oh no.
Yeah, I think it'll come back to you when you watch it.
Okay.
That'll be funny.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you record her doing that. I want to see what the reaction is. All right, then, guys, we're going to go ahead and cut it off there. Thank you so much for tuning in for these reactions. And I'm happy for those of you who enjoyed them. And if you didn't, well, thank you for wasting your time with us. In any case, we hope that you stay tuned for more podcasts and reactions and reviews that are coming very soon. And that's where we're going to go ahead and cut it off there because I have nothing else to say. Bye-bye.
Bye.